Thank you, David. Good to be under the Friday night lights in Regina tonight. TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the CFL and proud home of the 2008 Grey Cup game. It's the 15th consecutive sellout at Mosaic Stadium, a sensational early October night on the prairies. The wind will be a factor, as it often is here, as the Stampeders and Roughriders get set to lock horns. John Hufnagel's Stampeders riding a 4-game win streak. Need a win here tonight to reclaim sole possession of first place in the West, while Ken Miller's Riders trying to stop the slide, a 3-game losing streak, but a win tonight creates a 3-way tie for first.
The last time the Calgary Stampeders played here at Mosaic Stadium, the Riders were 6-0. The Stampeders 3-3. The Stamps won that game and have won 6 of their last 7. The Riders have won just 2 of their last 7.
First of back-to-back games between these two. They'll reconvene on Thanksgiving Monday at McMahon. Listen to these fans. Here we go. Jeannie Borum kicks it off. And it will be Demetrius Summers who drops the football and then gets pasted. Stevie Baggs downfield quickly. Saskatchewan won the toss. They have deferred. And Calgary has the wind at their back for Henry Burris's offense to start this game.
And Henry Burris in the backfield will have Joffrey Reynolds. A 1,000-yard season for Joffrey Reynolds already. His 4th as a Calgary Stampeder. And he will be the lone tailback. Receiving core, Nick Lewis looking to become the first Calgary receiver to have 5 consecutive 1,000-yard years. There's the O-line with Derek Armstrong in at guard.
Teo Johnson out, first down play, and it's a pass for Kenyon Rambo that skipped into his hands and ruled incomplete. Omar Morgan there in coverage.
Defensively for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who are going to have a big game tonight. Stevie Baggs plays off the edge with Kitwana Jones having a great season. Kitwana with 4 sacks on the year. Renaud Williams in again for Anton McKenzie, his 2nd start at linebacker, and Scott Gordon gets back to that free safety spot.
Our starting lineups are brought to you by Holiday Inn Hotels. Look again at Holiday Inn. 2nd and 10. Here comes the rush. Burris steps up. And the former Rough Rider has a first down across the 42-yard line and a feet-first slide.
It's a good first down for Calgary early. Henry Burris needs to try and take this crowd's momentum out of it early in this football game. The way he does that is not even by scoring. Just going down, putting together 2 or 3 first downs to start the game. That should quiet the crowd, and then it becomes another football game. Well, as much as it can be here at Mosaic Stadium.
Joffrey Reynolds out. John Cornish checks in at running back. 1st and 10 from the 43. 4-man rush. Burris, Rambo, and Sean Lucas can't bring him down. Kenyon Rambo up across the 50-yard line and close to 9 yards. We'll call it 8 for Kenyon Rambo and his 71st catch of the year.
You know, these two teams are going in very different directions, have over the last 7 games, with Calgary winning 6 of those 7. Saskatchewan struggling of late, but Saskatchewan at home have played tough. Ken Miller's crew, if they keep the scoring down, they win the turnover battle, which they've had troubles with over the last 3 games. They can create the upset opportunity here tonight.
2nd and about 1.5 yards, and Burris to plunge, and not much of a surge there behind Rob Blasio, the former Rough Rider, at center. Demetrius Sumpas at right guard. John Hufnagel gave the game balls to the 2 rookies on the offensive line last week for Calgary in their win in Toronto.
Boy, has that O-line ever played well in front of Henry Burris this season, giving up just 18 sacks, which ranks 2nd in the CFL, considering they have 2 rookies at guards. It's an amazing stat.
2 straight first downs, and Burris, quick hitter. Rambo's got another catch with Omar Morgan hanging on. Much of the key to the offense this year has been the somewhat surprising play of that offensive line.
what I'm very pleased about is that there's not a whole lot of assignment mistakes on the offensive line. And, you know, they have Rob Lazio and Jeff Pilon that are the leaders of that offensive line. They do an excellent job of getting the rookies together and making them understand, hey, this is how we have to get it done. And they do a good job each and every week.
No Pilon tonight, however. He is out with a shoulder problem again. It's second down. And Burris throws the out, and once again, Kenyon Rambo a catch and a first down. A guy that Henry Burris calls a catalyst for his offense, Kenyon Rambo.
And the catalyst for the offensive line up front. You heard John Hufnagel talk, Chris, about his two young guards, Sumpas and Newman. Rob Lazio is the key. He's the guy in the center that can help those young guys, has all season long. If they have a question on the call, they just whisper in his ear, he gives them the answer. He makes the checks up front. He gets them lined up properly. Make sure they know who they're blocking. Rob Lazio's been huge for them.
The reason I said somewhat surprising, 4 of the starters on that offensive line were not starters last year. There's a pass, and Jermaine Copeland has one in front of James Johnson. And it's a 4th consecutive first down for the Stampeders to the Saskatchewan 35.
What a run for Henry Burris and this Calgary Stampeder offense. When you look at their last 2 games against Toronto, 78 total points scored there. They had 40 against Montreal and 38 in the rematch to Edmonton. This offense has been unstoppable.
First and 10. Roughrider 35. Over the middle, and Copeland can't reel it in.
Well, even though Burris has really accomplished what he wanted to out of this first series, which was a few first downs to try and quiet the crowd's momentum, I think he's accomplished that. Now he's in second and long, placed to the hands of the Saskatchewan defense, which is very fast, especially in that linebacking core with Maurice Lloyd, Sean Lucas, and tonight, Ronald Williams.
Approaching the 5-minute mark. Second and 10. Here comes the blitz. Burris gets it away, and they extend the drive with another first down catch for Jermaine Copeland.
That blitz you mentioned, Chris, was coming from the free safety back in the lineup. That's Scott Gordon right there. Watch how he's going to sneak up to the line and then just hit that blitz on the fly. Picked up nicely, though, by Joffrey Reynolds, the running back in that lone setback position. He steps in there, reads the blitz, blocks it well, allows Henry Burris to throw the football.
10th play of the drive, and the pitch, left side, Joffrey Reynolds slashing, brought down by Sean Lucas at the 17-yard line. Reynolds comes in 9 yards shy of Wes Cates and the league lead in the rushing department.
Yeah, and Joffrey Reynolds, 4,000 yards seasons. The late Earl Lunsford's 5 as a Calgary Stampeder. Kelvin Anderson had 7,000-yard seasons. Joffrey Reynolds looks like he can play for a long, long time. A bunch of years. He should catch all of those Calgary records before it's over.
He's averaged just under 94 yards to start in 10 games against Saskatchewan. Got 4 there, second and 6. Burris' time, and now gets on his horse, going for Nick Lewis, who can't make the grab. Check that, Demetrius Summers was the intended target, and the drive has stalled.
Henry Burris does get the corner, and outside of containment, going to his right. He steps up in the puck. Now he realizes that he's got to get outside, and to get outside of Kitwana Jones is saying something, throws a strike on the run, but Demetrius Summers is a running back. Tough to ask him to make that tough catch on the sideline. Receivers, you expect it. Running backs, it's a little bit more of a difficult catch.
So on comes Sandro DeAngelis, and he will attempt from 25 yards out. Good opening Calgary drive, and they cap it with the 25-yard field goal and a 3-0 Stamps lead. Wendy's CFL on TSN. Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. So close to 7 minutes into this opening quarter before Michael Bishop gets his hands on the football and hooks up with Rob Bagg, who was his favorite target last week in Montreal. Rob Bagg, the Canadian Player of the Week. 6 catches, 146 yards.
Including a 72-yarder in that game. A timing throw, a little play action in the middle. They used the fake to Neil Hughes, and a very accurate throw to get things going in a positive way for Michael Bishop.
Rob Bagg mentioned they've worked a lot against press coverage this week in preparation for the Stampeders. Neil Hughes, and Hughes to midfield has 4 yards.
And Neil Hughes will be the starting running back. Wes Cates still out with that ankle injury. So it'll be Michael Bishop, Neil Hughes, and Chris Zarka in the backfield. The receiving corps changes on a daily basis with Getzlaff, Chris Getzlaff in the lineup as a starting slot back. You mentioned Rob Bagg's big game a week ago, and there is the offensive line with O'Day back in the middle at center and Gene Mikowski back over to guard.
Neil Hughes with 4 will split the reps, and running back with Stu Ford, 2nd and 6. Bishop rolls, Bishop guns, and he's got a completion. Chris Getzlaff has his first catch in the Canadian Football League, his first CFL start, and the fans respond, and many on their feet for the youngster.
Well, they know the potential of Chris Getzlaff at 6'1", 208. He's got great size. He's a route runner. Talked to Ken Miller about him yesterday, and he said he's real excited to see what he can do, and he's going to be a guy that they continue to use and utilize, try and take advantage of his size and his route running ability.
Down to the 38, little fake, open man, Weston Dressler has it at the 4. Taken down by the safety, Keon Raymond. Weston Dressler keeps coming up with big plays in the Saskatchewan offense.
There's Dressler, a little change motion, working on Calvin Bannister, and he just runs by him in that zone defense with Dwight Anderson. Looked like he was supposed to be deep in the deep zone. He didn't get back in time, and Dressler made him pay for that.
35 yards for Dressler, top receiver in the Saskatchewan offense, and here's Hughes, touchdown.
Well.
Different Roughrider offense out of the gate tonight.
Yeah, you're right, Chris, and the differences I saw in that first drive were twofold. One, they're using Michael Bishop out on the edge. They're getting him in a lot of rollout. And two, they're running the ball back to that running game. Ken Miller and the offensive coaching staff abandoned the run without Wes Cates a week ago.
First running touchdown for Hughes this year, his 3rd on the season. After just 5 carries, 11 yards last week in Montreal. 3rd time this year, Saskatchewan's scored a first possession touchdown, and they lead. The CFL on TSN, brought to you in part by the 2008 GMC Sierra. Professional grade. What a start here in Regina tonight. Stamps look good on their opening drive. Register a field goal, and then Neil Hughes caps a 5-play, 75-yard touchdown march on Michael Bishop's first possession.
And that may have been Michael Bishop's best possession as a Rough Rider.
I think you're right. Summers. Demetrius Summers had a big game last week across the 45-yard line. That's where Henry Burris will go to work when we come back. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Under 5.5 minutes left, first quarter. The wind at the back of Henry Burris, who starts at his 46. And out there for Jermaine Copeland, sidesteps one tackle and then eased out by Sean Lucas.
A great drive to get things started for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the change from a week ago was simple. Get Michael Bishop out on the corner, out on the edge, full roll to start the game. Here comes a rollout again. He goes over the middle to Getzlaff, gets his first catch. Dressler gets involved with one that gets him set up, and they involved the running game with Neil Hughes. Couple play actions. In all, they had 3 passing plays, 2 runs. Great balance in that 5-play drive.
Here's Burris dropping it off over the top for Joffrey Reynolds. Reynolds down to the 45. Henry Burris already more yards passing here tonight in the first quarter than he did in the opening 29 minutes last week in Toronto. Remember, he had the slow start, 53 yards until the 60-yard pass to Jermaine Copeland that finally kick-started their offense.
Yeah, well, you know, when you look at that Calgary Stampeders game a week ago against Toronto, you could say that it wasn't their best game. It was one of those ones they won ugly, but they won big ugly.
He has said that the offense hasn't really clicked the way they'd like it to for the past couple of weeks. Looks like they're hitting on all cylinders so far, and he has a wide-open Nick Lewis down at the 10-yard line. Geronimo with the big play, playing hurt, but still dangerous.
Nick Lewis opens up on this corner route. He's a forgotten man right here, and watch what he's going to do. Down the field and to the corner. And Henry Burris, rather than put a lot of air on this ball and let the outside man, James Johnson, get there, he just throws it on a rope over the shoulder of Lance Frazier.
84th consecutive game with a catch. That's one away from Alan Pitt's Stampeder record. 34 on the pickup. First and 10, high shotgun snap, and Reynolds straight ahead. And he'll bulldog down to the 2.
What a start to this football game when you consider these defenses. The Calgary Stampeders defense were coming into their own, coming into this game after 7 good performances in a row. The Saskatchewan defense has really been the strength of their team. And both these offenses out of the gate putting together real good drives to start this football game.
Joffrey Reynolds just assumed the league lead in CFL rushing, looking for his first rushing crown. 8 on the pickup, 2nd and 2. They can make a first down without scoring. Bunch formation left side, and Burris will just plunge ahead with the penalty marker on the play.
Most of the Calgary Stampeder players indicating it's against Saskatchewan.
And as we often see, it could be an alignment.
Offside, Saskatchewan, 95. As a result of the penalty, half the distance to the goal, it's first down.
Likely Luke Mullender just didn't give the full yard. Bud Steen makes the call. And it's first and goal at the 1. The goal line stands have been a story this year, certainly the last couple of weeks for Saskatchewan. Big guys will dig in here.
Teams in the CFL this year offensively have made it a real smash mouth play down on the goal line where they're bringing all their receivers, they're bringing in extra running backs, some extra O-line, and they're all jammed up in the box. So they're saying, we're going to push you back, and the defense's job is to get underneath that and get better leverage and win the line of scrimmage.
First and goal from just outside the 1. And Henry straight ahead, got stood up, but didn't get in.
Well, you know what they did this time? They emptied the backfield, the Calgary Stampeders. In other words, they brought in their receivers. They had them all in the box there, and then they, before the snap of the ball, they got them all out. Now, did Henry Burris break the plane? He is lost in that huge pile. You can't see. I don't think he did, though. And he gets pulled back from behind. Stevie Baggs grabs him.
Yeah, Mike McCullough there, too, playing in his 100th CFL game. Spotted back at the 1. And they'll hit the reset and go second and goal from the 1. in, touchdown, Calgary.
And I wonder if Joffrey Reynolds did this on purpose, because just before the snap, he kind of bounced forward like he was getting ready to get the ball and go over the top. And he knew it was going to be a fake with Henry Burris going around the corner. Watch in behind Henry Burris right here is Joffrey Reynolds. Watch just before the snap of the ball, he jumps, giving that defense a little, I'm getting it, and then he doesn't get it. He pulls it to the outside, and Burris gets the edge.
Burris's third touchdown run of the year, and it caps a 7-play, 64-yard drive. Extra point, line through. Calgary back on top.
When a running back like Joffrey Reynolds starts to sneak before the snap of the ball to his position, it's a dead giveaway to the defense, unless maybe Joffrey Reynolds is trying to indicate, yeah, I'm getting it, and I'm going over the top. Oh, actually, I'm not. Henry Burris takes it to the outside, and it fooled the defense completely as they crash down to stop Joffrey Reynolds.
Yeah, wing left, yeah.
And all of a sudden, very quiet. Henry Burris, a great drive to answer Michael Bishop's opening drive for Saskatchewan.
DeAngelis kicks it off. And the newcomer, Hugh Charles, has trouble with it and concedes the single point. So, not the debut he was looking for. We expect to see Charles in the backfield at times at the running back position without Wes Cates once again this week. Let's join Sarah.
Thanks so much, Chris. We saw the reaction of the crowd when Chris Getzlaff made his first catch. Well, a little extra acknowledgement for the local product. Born and raised here in Regina, he played for the University of Regina Rams, and he grew up as Saskatchewan Roughriders fans. And so here he is making his first CFL start in front of friends and family, no less. He said that he feels that he's been playing a lot better lately, and that's something that head coach Ken Miller completely agrees with. He said that perhaps he had put a little bit too much pressure on himself early on in order to make the roster, but you know, you never like to see teammates go down with injuries, but this is an opportunity for Getzlaff to make the most of it.
Big catch on the last drive.
Without question, and Ken Miller did say in training camp and when he got here, he was struggling a little bit with his confidence in the one-on-ones and some of the drills, and they've worked him now into the lineup where they feel that he can contribute. And he did make a great catch in that opening drive.
Hughes with a 5-yard gain, 2nd and 5. That pass gunned in, and that's a catch. Duran Walker with the catch, and it's a first down for the Roughriders as we set the Stampeder defense for you.
Yeah, we got to get to that starting defense. It's been a couple of offensive drives, so it's taken a while. You see Phillips, Justin Phillips there on the outside. He is still in for Michael Binjo. There's a linebacking core that's been solid. Salim Rashid back in the lineup a few weeks back, and Keon Raymond will play safety for Wes Lysak, is out due to injury.
Should be the final play of this first quarter. Bishop rolls, Bishop downfield, and he's got Duran Walker once again. Back-to-back catches. Michael Bishop on target in this opening quarter, and it was a good one here at Mosaic. A 4-point Calgary lead. First quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Look how even the stats are. Both teams getting some good drives together offensively. Michael Bishop looks sharp. He is 5 for 5 in the first quarter throwing the football. No turnovers by either team.
And there was heavy emphasis on Bishop having to get off to a better start. There was a hook 2 weeks ago. They talked about not being hooked last week when maybe he could have been in the first half. Better start.
No question. I mean, that's been the question all week. Should they even start Darian Duran? I know Ken Millers was asked that many times because Michael Bishop did not get off to a good start against Montreal, as you mentioned, Chris. He did throw for 364 yards in that game.
224 in the second half.
But this is as good as I've seen him, at least in Saskatchewan for sure.
And they have a first down at the Calgary 43. And straight ahead, it is Neil Hughes who's done the work on the ground so far tonight.
I mentioned 5 for 5, and one of the reasons for that is that Ken Miller said yesterday that he was going to try and get Michael Bishop on the edge, which he's done in the first quarter. He was also going to involve the running game, whether that meant actually handing the ball off or using play action to get Bishop more time to the outside. They did it in the first quarter. You see Neil Hughes involved again. They got to use Hughes like they'd use Wes Cates.
2nd and 7. Here comes the rush. Downfield for Dressler, and he overthrows Dressler by a couple of strides. That's the first incompletion for Michael Bishop on the night.
Weston Dressler pretty well covered by a Calgary secondary that gets better every single game. They are young, they're aggressive, and they gain more confidence, and that time they're in pretty good position.
Luka Kanji will come on to attempt a 47-yarder. That would match a season high. Look at the numbers for Kanji, the best field goal percentage in the league this year to date. Wind at his back. Rob Bagg puts it down. And Kanji puts it through. So both teams have a touchdown and a field goal on their first 2 possessions. The CFL on TSN, brought to you in part by Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. A couple of good football teams doing their thing so far in this first half at Mosaic. After the 47-yard field goal by Kanji, Calgary elects to scrimmage at their 35. And Henry Burris throws that one nearly up for grabs. James Johnson, Grey Cup MVP, had a shot at it.
James Johnson pattern read there. What he does, and what I mean by that, is he takes a look at not just the intended target, which was Brett Ralph, but he also takes a look at Copeland going to the flat. When he says Copeland going out across his face to the flat, he knows that Brett Ralph's going to run that curl route. It's film work that pays off in the game.
Second and 10, Sean Lucas showing blitz, and he will off the edge. Burris hit as he threw, and that one falls incomplete. Sean Lucas turned up the heat as he was sent from the Sam linebacker position.
Once again, blitz coming from the secondary as the Saskatchewan defense gets aggressive, bringing their safety Scott Gordon one more time up. And then they get pressure from the outside in Sean Lucas, because that pressure from the free safety takes up all those interior blocks. That leaves Sean Lucas open on the outside.
First 2 and out of the night. Birkdale's in. High, and it hangs up there. And Denate Hurd with the return. Randy Chevrier, the long snapper for Calgary, down first to bring Hurd down. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN, brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. 2 minutes into the second quarter. Got a good one going at Mosaic Stadium. And at the 45, Saskatchewan goes to work. Hugh Charles in the backfield, and a pass caught by Getzlaf. And a nice move there. Shaking one tackle, stretching out for what looks like a first down.
And that's what Getzlaf brings. He brings that big size, a nice target for Michael Bishop, who again is using play action, rolling out between the tackles, sometimes getting outside of containment, and Chris Getzlaf makes a couple of guys miss.
2 catches, 27 yards for Getzlaf, who was in the lineup in week 4 against Montreal, but did not hit the field. First down, play action fake. Bishop rolls downfield, and he's on target again. Rob Bag a catch. Dwight Anderson in coverage. No doubt about it, Michael Bishop's a different guy tonight.
He is, and he is on, and that's his best throw of the game so far because he had some pressure in his face. The Calgary Stampeders are now starting to figure out that they're going to use Saskatchewan play action and try and get Michael Bishop outside, so they send a little bit of extra help. There's Bag on the top, and watch the protection up front as Bishop again using the outside, trying to get outside and contain. He has a guy in his face in Rashid and still throws that strike on the money.
Another fake to Charles, and Bishop will take off. And Bishop crashing down to the 24-yard line. And he mentioned he'd like to contribute more to the run game than he did last week. Jawan Armour with the tackle for the Stampeders.
You know, it's been an interesting story over 2 weeks for Michael Bishop. When he was pulled, Chris, as you mentioned, he was 4 of 6 2 weeks ago and 100 yards and pulled with 1 interception. Last week went the distance, threw for 364, but the team didn't win, and he had the slow start. Ken Miller goes with a gut feeling when it comes to his quarterbacks and Bishop and Darian Durant.
Got 7. He led the team in rushing last week with 16. And here's Charles. What a move by Hugh Charles to introduce himself to the Mosaic Stadium faithful. And a first down run on his first carry.
Well, he shook some of the nerves off that kickoff return that he fumbled. He had to give up a single point. That gets the butterflies out of your stomach in your first game, and then you get a chance to actually do what you do. And there's Charles, a nice cut to the outside.
Out of Colorado, where he was the offensive MVP last year in his senior year. 9-yard gain. Ball on the 15, 1st and 10. Bishop dumps it off, and Getzlaff was tied up there by Calvin Bannister. Good defensive play. Getzlaff stretches it just inside the 10.
And, you know, just when I talked to Ken Miller about Michael Bishop, because he is just playing his best football right now as a Saskatchewan Roughrider. And I asked him, I said, well, what are you going to do the game tonight between he and Darian Durant? How are you going to? He said, it's a production-based business. If Michael Bishop is producing, I feel like he's moving the football team, well, then we'll leave him in. 8 for 9. He's moving the football team.
2nd and 4. Rolling again. Throwing end zone, touchdown! Chris Getzlaff has his first.
And he gets it from Michael Bishop, who once again is outside and on the edge with the option to either run or pass. Tremendous game planning for Saskatchewan to utilize the athletic ability of Michael Bishop. He can run or pass now, and the Calgary Stampeders can't make the right decision. If they go to Bishop, he throws it. If they stay back, he runs it.
19th different receiver to catch a pass for the Roughriders this year. Getzlaff with 3 catches on that 65-yard touchdown drive.
One thing, if you're a young receiver in your first start like Chris Getzlaff is, you know that DBs will try and get physical with you and see if you can handle that physical play. And Bannister right over here, number 19, he is trying to get physical with Chris Getzlaff. He's trying to jam him, take him off his route. Getzlaff stays with it, makes a strong catch in the end zone. Big play, the young receiver.
See, if Bannister was a hockey fan, he'd know if you're dealing with a Getzlaff, you're dealing with a physical player. And what a night for Chris Getzlaff,
who, by the way, said his brother called him before the game to wish him luck.
With the wind at his back, Jamie Borum, last one. And this one will bounce into the end zone. Is it going to go through? They want it to roll through, and it does, so there is no single point. An alert play by Marcus Howell and Demetrius Summers as we join Sarah.
Chris, Nick Lewis told me that Mosaic Stadium is the loudest and most hostile environment in the CFL. Joffrey Reynolds said that as a player you have to be thick-skinned because the stadium stands are so close to the benches. And Henry Burris says he gets the worst of it out of everybody when it comes to the heckling. He said that he warned his team that this crowd was going to be even louder than usual with the record that they have had and the struggles of late. And let me tell you, with the Riders having put up 17 points so far in this first half, this crowd is very loud. crowd and taking every opportunity to remind the Stamps of the lead Saskatchewan has.
Atmosphere is terrific. Look in for Brett Ralph. Can't hold on as he took a jolt from Lance Frazier.
Well, Henry Burris is 5-4 against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and it is tough, especially on that visitors bench, who, by the way, all that crowd are now drinking a beverage out of plastic cups.
Yes.
The bottom line is, it is tough for the visiting team over there.
And a better behaved crowd so far tonight.
Yes.
Second and 10. That's why they're revved up. And the hit screen, Kenyon Rambo trying to get to the first down and stretching out, and it looks like he'll be a yard short.
You know, what's interesting, too, is that this is the back-to-back games here. This is the first game of back-to-back, so the challenge is out for the Calgary fans at McMahon Stadium. And I know they get some invasion from Saskatchewan fans whenever the Calgary Stampeders host the Riders, but there's your challenge, Stamps fans, to sell out here at Mosaic Stadium. Now, can you sell McMahon and be as loud and have as much fun?
Well, we hear they're close, and these fans undeterred by a 3-game losing streak. They've dropped 5 of 7, but they brought their game faces tonight, and back-to-back 2-and-outs for the Stampeders, as they are about a yard and a half short of the first down. Brookdale's on. And another punt into the wind. Hurd hit immediately. There's the arrow downfield. Brendan Browner with the hit. They wanted no yards, but no penalty marker on the play. The Saskatchewan offense thought they should be up 15 yards. Let's take a look.
Very close. Brandon Browner is so good at this. Browner right at the top of your screen there, and
that's no yards.
Yeah, that looks like about 3.5, 4 yards. And because that ball was caught in the air, that would have been a 15-yard penalty. And the fans just saw it on the replay monitor here at Mosaic Stadium, wondering why Browner didn't get called.
So they'll start at the 37. And here's Charles again. Up to the 40-yard line as they try to establish a running game, something they did not do in Montreal.
We didn't run the ball last week, and which was an error on our part. And we have to call run plays. That's really what we are. Is we're a run game offense, and then the play action that comes off the threat of the run. That's one of the things that Michael Bishop does really well. And when we took that aspect of the game away last week, we weren't nearly as successful as we might have been.
Second and 7. Number 7's got a first down. Weston Dressler cut down by Browner, but not before he moves the chains up to the 51.
I loved what Ken Miller said at the press conference yesterday about the running game. One of the print media asked him, I said, well, how do you involve the running game more in your offense? And Ken Miller, without even blinking an eye, he said, well, we call more running plays, is how we do it. And on that one, they called their running play on first down.
Is there another coach in the league more refreshingly honest when admitting mistakes?
You know, and that's one thing that, you know, we've talked about how Mark Trestman in Montreal has gone through some, you know, peaks and valleys with regards to learning the Canadian Football League and managing a game in the CFL. And Ken Miller's in the same boat. This is his first job as a head coach. He does have CFL experience, but he will make mistakes managing the game. And I love that he comes out the next day and he says, yeah, we made a mistake in the coaching staff last week. Didn't call enough running plays. We got to do that even if we don't have Wes Cates. And they're using play action to their advantage tonight in a big way.
Stampeders looking for their first stop. Second and 10. Pressure on. Bishop wide open. Weston Dressler has another first down. Eased out of bounds by Dwight Anderson. But the chains are moving for the Roughriders in this first half.
Weston Dressler is the type of route runner, too. When you watch him here, Dressler's the kind of guy that he can make a move. He can either run that speed cut, but can read it. So if you're going to run rollout, like Michael Bishop is doing a ton of tonight, Lots of rollout either side. Dressler can find a hole. He can hit to the sideline or he can sit down. He's a smart player on the fly.
He's the go-to guy. 3 catches, 61 yards in this first half. And Bishop again. Chris Sark out of the backfield. And a catch down to the 40. 4 for the big fullback.
Chris, I don't think I have seen Michael Bishop as accurate as he has been in this first half. And he has been that accurate throwing on the run almost every single play. And yeah, Ken Miller's made some mistakes. I'll tell you what, you got to give him a lot of credit for designing his offensive game plan with their staff for Michael Bishop to suit his athletic ability and get him throwing on the run, because clearly this is his comfort zone.
As sharp as we've ever seen him till that snap, pouncing on it, and the Stamps look like they've got it. A fight for the football. Howard Hodges, I think, the last man to get on it, and Calgary does have the football. So the first mistake of the night against the Saskatchewan quarterback, and has he been shaken up on the play?
Well, first of all, it looked like to me that he tried to get out of there quickly, and when you're doing all that running as he is, he's trying to move. See, he tried to move to the rollout. The snap from Jeremy O'Day just behind him and down around his knees, so he couldn't get the football because he has to get on the fly in a hurry to execute that rollout. You see how he opens up his stance? He's trying to get to the outside, and that ball was snapped just a little bit behind him.
Dwayne Carpenter in that backfield in a hurry. Actually dropped it himself, and Howard Hodges vacuumed it up. Bishop's okay, but Calgary comes up with a football.
Keep flat and see what happens.
And the Stampeders in their win streak are plus 10 in the giveaway takeaway category. And in those 4 games, they've scored 75 times, 75 points off turnovers. Give to Reynolds, caught in the backfield, and it looked like he might have dropped the ball. Calgary maintains possession, but a loss on the play.
Well, as good as both these offenses have looked so far, all of a sudden together they have some problems with that shotgun, and just this was just a straight handoff.
Scott Gordon on the safety blitz was there right at the handoff.
Yeah, and that's been the 4th time that Scott Gordon has gone on a blitz from the secondary. George Cortez, the offensive coordinator, will take note of that.
Gordon missed last week with a shoulder problem. 2nd and 12. Burris steps up and now throws it, and that's a completion. Nick Lewis hit hard, but holds on and has a Calgary first down.
Scott Gordon, number 26, makes the tackle for the Riders.
Henry Burris now taking a page out of Michael Bishop's book as Henry Burris takes this snap right here, and he's going to roll out. He knows he has time because all of Saskatchewan's linebackers have dropped. So then he takes up, he attacks the line of scrimmage, and when he attacks, watch Eddie Davis right here. He's got to come up and try and help on the tackle, and when he moves up like that, Burris throws it in behind him.
15 for Lewis, sore ribs, sore knee, sore ankle. And he just keeps making plays. A little look in for Rambo, and he's got it in front of Omar Morgan. Morgan playing in his 150th CFL game on the corner.
Well, Jermaine Copeland and both Nick Lewis could become more of a factor as this game goes on if Saskatchewan keeps sending the safety, Scott Gordon.
Exactly 3 minutes to go, first half. And they are giving the 3-minute warning to the benches. 17-11, Roughriders with the lead. Three minutes remaining in a good first half here at Mosaic, and then it's Rhoda at the half. We'll check in with our panel back in the studio. I think it was Chris Schultz that was coach of the day. See how Kevin Vosberg hit the 20-yarder. I don't know what the other guys were doing, but
the other guys got out-coached.
give Schultz credit. 2nd and 1 for Calgary. And Burris will plunge for the first down after that 9-yard catch by Kenyon Rambo. Lots to talk about in this first half.
Yeah, I mentioned that Copeland and Nick Lewis for John Huffnagel become more important in the second half. if the Saskatchewan Roughriders continue to send the safety Scott Gordon, bringing him down and send him on blitzes, they will have to vacate the middle of the field deep to do that. And that's usually the slot backs that go ahead and try and take advantage of that over the middle.
Calgary goes two back with Cote and Reynolds, but back to pass is Henry Burris. And once again, Kenyon Rambo has the catch, number 6 in this first half for number 85.
And once again, this is the 5th time now by my count that right here the safety Scott Gordon has come on that blitz, and in behind him it's one-on-one Eddie Davis on Nick Lewis. Now Henry Burris doesn't go there this time. He goes over to Rambo on the sideline, but a one-on-one with no safety in the middle is tough for halfbacks, and that time it was Nick Lewis one-on-one.
Jabari Arthur checks in for Calgary at tight end on 2nd and short. Once again, Burris follows the surge for a first down behind the big center and former Rough Rider Rob Lazio.
Kenyon Rambo, you mentioned, has his first 1,000-yard season. He's been close last few years. 789 3 years ago, 704, and then 983 in 07. Actually had 1,000 yards that was called back by penalty in the last play of the game last year. So he gets that 1,000-yard season under his belt this year.
2nd in yardage behind G. Roy Simon, and tied with Ben Cahoon coming into the week in catches with 70. Now it's 76. And make it 77. Trying to get outside. Lance Frazier will jolt him out.
When the way they use Kenyon Rambo as well is they can move him inside, and he could be that guy who goes right down the middle if they send the safety blitz. So George Cortez has that tremendous receiving core that he can just pick which weapon he wants to use in the offense. And that time you can see Rambo was lined up as an inside receiver on that little hit screen.
6 that time. A lot of short passes to Rambo tonight. He can be a deep threat too. 2nd and 4. And it's Burris looking for Rambo. Touchdown. Kenyon Rambo finds the end zone. His 6th touchdown of the year. And Calgary a convert away from regaining the lead.
Kenyon Rambo from the left of your screen is going to be that inside receiver with motion on the outside. They go with play action, and here comes Rambo right across the middle. Scott Gordon nowhere to be seen in that middle. Didn't blitz that time, but he had vacated.
So Rambo, 8 catches in this opening half. His 6th touchdown of the year, and DeAngelis for the lead. And with less than 2 minutes to go here in the first half, 18-17, Stampeders.
Kenyon Rambo lines up as an outside receiver. He's going to end up working his way back into the middle, and then the post pattern right over the middle. And Scott Gordon had dropped so far deep that they found that void. You can see Gordon just at the bottom of your screen. Didn't go on the blitz that time, but clearly the Calgary Stampeders trying to attack that middle with Gordon moving around so much over the last few series. Omar Morgan bails on him and then has to play that outside shoulder position.
Rambo, the recipient of the 27th touchdown pass of the year for Henry Burris, who just tied Jeff Garcia on the all-time Stampeder touchdown pass list. And the guy at the top is within range.
And the guy on the top was just inducted in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. And Henry Burris in range next year to catch him in the yardage list for Calgary Stampeders as well.
Dressler from the 25. And Weston Dressler up to the 42. And let's join Sarah Orleski on the sidelines.
Thanks so much, Chris. Looks like Michael Bishop suffered a stinger on that last series that he was out for, as well as jamming his thumb on his non-throwing hand. Now, it looked like he might be out, and perhaps Darian Durant is in for this series right now, but Michael Bishop has just put his shoulder pads back on. It is expected that he will be evaluated, they said, at the half. And he's just put his helmet on right now, so it looks like he may be ready to go, if possible, still in this half.
So this was one quarterbacking change that was not scripted. Durant in, and nice play fake there. Durant will carry it. And it's something we've seen from Michael Bishop tonight. Darian Durant picks it up and takes it to the 50.
Darian Durant 3-0 as a starter for Saskatchewan this year, then was injured, came back a couple weeks ago. Michael Bishop's off, heading to the locker room right now. He's trying to loosen up. And for Ken Miller, he'd want to keep Darian Durant, because if he keeps him out there, that means this series continues.
2nd and 2. Short drop and looking up top for Dressler. Got it. What a catch by Weston Dressler. Brandon Smith was close, and he still brings it in.
That's what I meant about Weston Dressler, he's got such tremendous body control once that ball is in the air. He's got man-to-man here on Brandon Smith. The ball's thrown to his outside shoulder. He just works himself to the other side and comes up with a tremendous catch, trying to keep Brandon Smith off of him with his hands and not draw the penalty flag.
Almost Cahoon-like the way he adjusts to that football. 34-yard play. Durant looks hot. He wants it all up top, and bang, couldn't bring it in. Anderson was there. And Darian Durant going to work aggressively in relief.
Now, that's what I was going to mention about Darian Durant. When he did come in 2 weeks ago, he really didn't light it up like he did in his 3 starts when the team started 6-0. But he was coming off injury. It was his first reps back. And when I had a conversation with him yesterday, he said it was good to get the rust off. He felt like his timing wasn't there, but it looks like that timing is finding its way back for Darian Durant.
So 2nd and 10 at the Calgary 26. Neil Hughes stays in and now releases. Durant steps up and gets it away high over the head of Durant Walker.
A lot of bullets flying in that pocket that time for Darian Durant. You can see, and I love that lead shoulder by the quarterback. It's not as easy as just trying to run and then just letting it go when you have an opening. See how he's got to keep that lead shoulder? He always has to turn it around and get that left shoulder pointed to the target. That time he just didn't get it enough, and that's why the ball sailed on him.
Don't move it!
So Luka Kanji, who hit from 47, on to attempt a 33-yarder. And minute 12 remaining in the half. Now play blown in. He's trying to do the math. This is the 5th or 6th potential lead change of a wild first half. As Kanji puts it up, and he is on target again.
He's money this year. Absolute money. Over 90%.
And Saskatchewan takes the lead at 20-18. Well, the CFL on TSN continues tomorrow with a doubleheader of action. Game 1, the East Division leading Alouettes take on the Tiger Cats. Immediately following that, Blue Bombers roll into Edmonton to take on the Eskimos. A lot of pre-game talk about that one. It all kicks off 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Both games available on TSN HD. Just over a minute to go for Henry Burris. Quarterback drop. Up to the 40. Brought down at the 46-yard line. Eddie Davis, the veteran, who spoke to his teammates yesterday with the tackle. Ken Miller asking veterans Davis and Gene Makowski to address the troops in advance of this game.
Yeah, you can't get two better veterans than those two in Eddie Davis, who've been through so many battles and understands what it takes to climb out of a losing streak, what it takes to win a football game. They spoke both of them to the entire team.
2nd and 4, little toss on the option. John Cornish with a big gain. Sean Lucas pulls him down. Not before John Cornish takes it into Saskatchewan territory.
Tremendous relationship on this play between the running back and the quarterback, and that's so important. You see Cornish is going to start right to the right here, and as this play develops, I'll show you where to freeze it, guys. He's coming down the line. You've got to keep that perfect separation between the two, and you see that nice separation there. Good distance between the two, 3-4 yards, so that one defender cannot defend against both quarterback and running back.
Objectionable conduct. Saskatchewan 96. The 10-yard penalty. First down.
Scott Schultz called for objectionable conduct, an 18-yard run, tack on 15 more.
And lots of time.
Check that 10 yards, and it's down to the 41. There's Scott Gordon.
Yep.
Safety blitz again, and that pass batted down and falls incomplete.
48 for no Williams.
And you know, it's not whether or not Scott Gordon, the safety, is getting to the quarterback. It's whether or not he's taking up enough blocks so that someone else can either get there or rush the throw. And on the outside, I believe it was Kitwana Jones who got the one-on-one. That rushed the throw, got his hand on it, and popped it up in the air.
Kitwana Jones with the hurry, and I think Stevie Baggs got his hand on it. Gordon, Mo Lloyd was also blitzing on the play. 34 seconds on the clock, 2nd and 10. Lots of time. Pass complete downfield, and Copeland's got it. And he's a little slow to get up. Copeland on the limp, but he has moved the chains again with a 19-yard catch.
Well, it's a pretty good read. Watch, here comes blitz again, but this time, watch behind Scott Gordon. Gordon's going to come on the blitz, but behind Scott Gordon, you're going to see number 31, Sean Lucas, show up. There he is, just to the top of your screen. Burris reads that this is not a full blitz. They just rolled a different linebacker back to the middle, so he works the outside to Jermaine Copeland.
Also a face mask penalty called on the play, away from the reception. Unfortunately, didn't pick up the number from Jake Ireland, but he has marked the ball at the 11. What a drive this is for Calgary. With less than 2 minutes to go, they started at their 35, now threatening to score. And there's Copeland again, shook the first tackle, and draws a crowd as he's brought down by Lance Frazier and friends. And a short gain on the play.
You know, Henry Burris here has probably 3 plays that he has to manage the rest of this half. 3 plays gives him a chance. Can they get the first down without scoring?
Timeout called. 20 seconds on the clock as Burris goes over to confer on a 2nd and 6 call.
I believe that first down mark is right on the 1-yard line. They got 3 plays. They can essentially get the first down.
This is not the best first half we've seen all year.
Outstanding. You know, and not very predictable, but the Canadian Football League isn't predictable. Because I thought coming in, and I know a lot of people did, that these 2 defenses really had to step up. For Saskatchewan to have a chance, we thought it would have to be low scoring, and Saskatchewan's linebackers and defense would have to be dominant. And the Calgary defense has played so well over the last 7 weeks and really come together. We knew Henry Burris would put some yards up. We knew Henry Burris would move the ball. But bottom line is, both offenses playing tremendous tonight.
He's 8 for his last 9. Second and 6, but probably looking for the end zone. And he is. Jump ball. And the ball knocked down, intended for Nick Lewis. James Johnson made the defensive play.
James Johnson made Henry Burris have to throw the perfect ball because Johnson's going to be underneath and behind Nick Lewis. So James Johnson says, look, you can go ahead and run deep. I have enough speed to stay underneath you and make that a perfect throw. There they are right there. Now he's got to stay. That ball has got to be up over the top of the shoulder and come down, and Nick Lewis, who did a nice job to just get that on the ground.
So DeAngelis from 14 yards out to give Calgary the lead again. The 7th lead change of the first half, and it's 21-20.
Good old-fashioned shootout.
And against Saskatchewan, take the ball at the 35, 11 seconds left, but maybe with the wind at their back, 1 completion away from a potential field goal attempt to end the half. And who comes out at quarterback to finish up this first half for Saskatchewan? And Michael Bishop has a helmet on. Darian Durant doesn't have his helmet on, but it looks like he's going in.
Hey, he just checked. Ken Miller just checked with Michael Bishop, said, what do you think? 1 play, 2 plays? He said, why don't you put Durant back in? We'll regroup at halftime. I think we'll see Michael Bishop in the second half.
So 11 seconds and about 25 yards from a potential Luka Kanji field goal attempt. Rob Bagg with the catch. And he'll be tossed down by Anderson. 4 seconds on the clock.
It was an interesting little conversation there. Ken Miller wanted to check. He was looking at both quarterbacks. Then he said to Bishop, what do you think? You want to go in for this 1 play? And look, Bishop tapped Durant on the back and say, no, let's put him in. He just had the last series. And then I'll regroup at halftime.
You know, that says something, too, because there's been all kinds of speculation that he moped in Toronto and that he might have been a distraction when he wasn't playing.
Michael Bishop loves the situation he's in here. And I asked him that yesterday. He loves it.
And the Roughriders will take a knee to wrap up what was an eventful opening half. 21-20 after 30 minutes of football at Mosaic.
It goes down.
Friday night football is fantastic.
Even in Regina, it goes down.
TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League. And proud home of the 2008 Grey Cup game. And glad to be here again at Mosaic Stadium for one of the best games of the year so far. 21-20, Calgary has the lead. Michael Bishop left the game late in the first half, but we expect to see him here in the third quarter.
He's going to get that thumb taped up from Ivan Gutfred, the trainer. That's his non-throwing hand to help support his thumb a little bit.
And the Roughriders won the toss to start the game, deferred. Calgary's going to get the football to start the third quarter and the wind. How important will that coin toss be at the end of the night? Great downfield cover once again by Kitwana Jones as he brings down Marcus Howell. Let's compare the numbers for 2 hot quarterbacks in the first 30 minutes.
Well, tremendous offensive production by both quarterbacks. 183 for Henry Burris, and I would agree with Chris Schultz. At least as a Saskatchewan Roughrider, but in his career, I think that was one of the best halves Michael Bishop has played in his CFL career. Now, will he come back, and can he maintain it if he does?
Henry Burris to work from the 34. Play action, pressure, ball comes loose. Kitwana Jones has it. Kitwana Jones scores. Stevie Baggs caused the fumble, and Kitwana Jones has a Saskatchewan touchdown.
Stevie Baggs playing rush end, goes out and around. Burris tries to escape from the pocket. Was the arm going forward when he lost control of the football? Or was it just his arm, an empty hand that moved forward?
Looked like the empty hand. This will give you a better look. Challenge flag is out. And that's almost mandatory at the Calgary bench. This looks like a Saskatchewan touchdown.
We'll slow it down even more for you. Here comes Stevie Baggs around the edge. The ball's back. Looked like he lost it. Then it moved forward. His hand and arm moved forward. From that angle, it does look like it's a fumble. Let's slow this shot down for you again. Arm and hand going back. Ball lost there. It'll be tight. It'll be tight. It'll be close. It looks a lot closer from that angle than it did from the behind
Calgary is
angle.
challenging the ruling on the field. They've indicated that the quarterback's arm was moving forward. We will review the play.
So Bud Steen goes under the hood. He might be ruling on the field because this is close. Even with that, I'm not sure that arm was moving forward with the football. Kitwana Jones may have the first Saskatchewan defensive touchdown of the year.
You know that look from the front, Chris, because the ball is kind of blocking where Henry Burris's hand is, it's hard to tell. But that look from the side, it looked like it came out of his hand just before he started the forward throwing motion. This might be the best look here. But it is so close. When does he actually lose possession of the football?
This is as good a look as you could want for Bud Steen.
And I think Stevie Baggs might have even touched the football there. And that started the momentum out of his hand.
Ball's out, now arm forward.
Yeah.
Great play by Baggs.
And by the way, the officials get every look that you just saw as fans at home. Is the ball out right there? Then that is a fumble. If the ball is out right there, then that's a fumble because the arm comes forward after that.
On the field is correct. It's a touchdown.
Good job by the officials. And Bud Steen getting that done quickly.
So the first takeaway for Saskatchewan on the night is a big one. And the extra point is good, and now 8 lead changes. And we're still in the first minute of the third quarter.
Kitwana Jones getting a chance to check out his own replay, his own highlight. It starts out and the assist goes to Stevie Baggs. We showed you that coming around the corner. Kitwana Jones is working the other side, and he gets the touchdown right here as he scoops it up. Has lots of time to wait, pick it up, and head to the end zone.
Kitwana Jones with his third fumble recovery of the season. And there's an injury on the field. Will step out. 27-21, Saskatchewan. The CFL on TSN brought to you in part by Nissan's Make the Call. Play on cfl.nissan.ca for your chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup game. So the turnovers now even at 1 apiece. Both teams have scored touchdowns after the turnover. In this case, Saskatchewan on the turnover. And Stevie Baggs downfield quickly to bring down Demetrius Summers on that return.
And now for Henry Burr, it's important for him to have a real short memory. And completely forget about that last play and how they started the second half. But how many times have we seen this, Chris, where the offenses take control in the first half of the football game on both sides, and then the defense starts to make adjustments? Well, the adjustment on that last one was Stevie Baggs.
As you can see, the third quarter has been a decisive one in favor of the Stamps most of the season. Got to deal with the noise now. And down the sidelines and knocked down. Defensive play made by James Johnson, intended for Ryan Thelwell.
Henry Burr has tried to thread the needle, and this time the needle won. Because James Johnson was running down that sideline and closing in a hurry. Johnson had his hands on a ball early in the first quarter and dropped it. Almost had an interception there. He gets that knockdown. Wasn't a very big window for Burrs to hit it into.
It's like we're going to a two-man defensive line for Saskatchewan. Verdon and Schultz come out. Two defensive linemen, a couple linebackers rush, and Copeland comes up with a catch. Gene Patrick, one of the extra DBs in, but Copeland's got his 6th catch of the night.
That's what happens when you have such athletic players, guys like Ronald Williams, number 48, number 47, Maurice Lloyd, Kitwana Jones, guys who can play linebacker. They can step up and play on the defensive line. They can sometimes even drop back and play cover a guy.
The out for Thelwell, too high, incomplete. Another 2nd and 10 upcoming.
And, you know, so that's what Richie Hall, the defensive coordinator, has to work with here with Saskatchewan's defense and why they're so strong. I mean, they're ranked 4th against the run. They shift a little bit in that category, but 1st against the pass, 3rd in points against. They are so quick in the linebacking court. Kiwana Jones can play all different positions, any one of the linebacking spots, and on the D line. And you can give offenses so many different looks when you have that kind of athleticism.
2nd and 10. Showing blitz and bringing it. And Burris finds Kenyon Rambo again. Rambo with just 7 catches in the first 2 meetings against Saskatchewan this year. Has just grabbed his 9th of this game.
This time, Scott Gordon, who blitzed 6-7 times in the first half, is over here. He's just to the left of your screen, and he's coming off the edge. The middle will be wide open, and Nick Lewis comes through that middle, but Henry Burris doesn't have time to get it there.
Now to the hurry up, and Joffrey Reynolds straight ahead. Reynolds crashing down to the 46-yard line.
You know, it seems to me, sorry, Chris, it seems to me that Henry Burris in these blitz situations is locking into Kenyon Rambo. That's not a bad thing. It's just that so far the Calgary Stampeders have not put Kenyon Rambo in a position except for one throw to go right down the middle. And that one throw, by the way, was for a touchdown.
Look, Mullender has taken a knee. Burris to the sidelines.
Luke Mullender, who's in a rotation on defensive line. It was interesting as Henry Burris went into his hurry-up offense. All of a sudden, he just kind of took a knee to say, well, let's slow things down here for a second. There's an automatic kneel-down guy on every team.
We talked about this morning at our meeting. What do you do against a hurry-up when it's advantage offense against the defense? And you mentioned maybe a couple of plays and somebody often takes a knee. And
what it does is it simplifies the defense because you can't, you know, all the looks that Richie Hall likes to run on defense. We've seen him with two-man pressure, two-man defensive lines. All the way they move around their safety, Scott Gordon, and bring him up. They bring their linebackers off the edge. All those things are more difficult to do if on offense you're going on first down, or sorry, first sound, I should say. In other words, taking the snap immediately, and you're in the hurry-up.
So we'll step out as Mullender continues to get attention. Tune in Wednesday for the NHL on TSN Season Preview Special. James Duthie hosts the 2-hour special as our NHL on TSN panel previews the upcoming 08-09 season. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific.
And there's a bandwagon with a Canuck logo on it, and I am sitting squarely on that baby.
We're on that one. Back to work here, 2nd and 4. Again, blitz. Again, Rambo. In front of Omar Morgan. And it's another Calgary first down.
Henry Burris's solution to this blitz package for Saskatchewan is number 85, is Kenyon Rambo. He's locking into Rambo. He has the confidence that he is going to get open. He's going to present a target. He's looking on Omar Morgan there.
10th catch of the night. Fake to Reynolds, and Burris takes off. Tripped up. Down at the 31-yard line.
You heard the panel talk about Kenyon Rambo and his great route running in that first half on his touchdown catch over the middle. 10 catches, just shy of 100 yards. He already has 1 touchdown. And if the Saskatchewan Roughriders keep blitzing, clearly Henry Burris is going to keep going to Kenyon Rambo.
Season best for Rambo in the catch category. Into double figures for the first time. Second and about a yard, and the plunge for the first down as Burris crashes inside the 30.
What a great first half and start to this game for Kenyon Rambo. Both offenses hitting on all cylinders. He did it in the short flats. He did it in the short zones. A couple slants over the middle, hit screens, didn't matter. And then he had that touchdown on this post pattern. Jack Kleiman drew that up for you. How he got open at halftime. It was textbook how he opened the hips of Omar Morgan, made him take that blind turn, and then he couldn't recover.
Ninth play of this drive. Trying to bounce back after the fumble for a touchdown. Burris running out of time, and he's dropped. Dropped back at the 39-yard line as Mo Lloyd, the middle linebacker, meets him up close.
And Mo Lloyd's going to get this sack because Burris runs right into his hands. Up in the middle here, there's going to be a great push up the middle. And because of that push, the outside, all Maurice Lloyd has to do is hang in there. Here comes a push. Kiwana Jones is one of them. They also have Marcus Adams in there. Henry Burris tried to escape up into the middle. And when the middle was shut down, he jumped back out, and there was Maurice Lloyd.
Loss of 8. Second and 18. Looks one way, screams the other. Oh! And Reynolds will be taken down at the 32-yard line.
Demetrius Supas comes back on a big block just to get Joffrey Reynolds close. Watch number 67 peel back around. Here he comes. I think it's Luke Mullender, and right there, big block.
But it is third down. And DeAngelis to attempt a 39-yarder. And Sandro up and through, as the field goal kickers have been perfect tonight. Back at Mosaic Stadium, and Sarah Orleski on the sidelines.
Chris, everyone has talked this season so far about all of the injuries that the Saskatchewan Roughriders have had to endure, particularly on offense. While talking to Ken Miller, I asked him about what type of difficulty that poses for them as coaches. And he said it's like they're still in training camp, despite the fact they're this far into the season, that as soon as one guy goes down, they immediately have to plug in somebody else. So you're not able to expand on any of your plays and to build upon them. But when you look at it tonight, they're certainly doing well, leading the Stamps by 3 points.
Certainly are, Sarah. They did have to wait a long time to get their hands on the ball here in the second half.
It will be Michael Bishop returning to the game. And that's a huge point, because after 13 games in the season, your playbook has expanded tremendously. I mean, you've added plays, you've added formations, and for the Riders to be at basically square one, it's tough.
Neil Hughes had 4 on the ground and now takes that little swing pass and extra effort to get the first down.
And Ken Miller goes back to a little ball control, a little run on first down, try and get his offensive line, get them warmed up, and in the game, Neil Hughes comes out of the backfield here, just catches a little swing pass, a little ball control offense to get his group warmed up. They haven't been on the field yet on offense.
Well, that's a second effort first down for Hughes, who looked like he was going to be stopped short. Avoids the 2 and out. Gives Michael Bishop a fresh set of downs. And play action fake. Weston Dressler, and this time he can't bring it in, as Dressler's been finding some holes in that secondary tonight, and that one just failed to connect.
Talked about Michael Bishop having his best half of football probably as a pro. And he used play action to his advantage. All his throws with tremendous accuracy in that first half were on the run. He also ran a little bit on his own, but these throws, full speed, whether it be back over the middle, whether it be to the sideline, rolling left or right, he has been right on target.
Last pass, just the second incompletion of the night for Bishop, 2nd and 10. Pressure, back the other way, they screen, Hughes. And this time he is cut down short of the first down, as Brandon Smith with a good tackle on the big running back.
Now, that was a good tackle, Chris. Brandon Smith probably saved a 20-30-yard gain by the time the backside of that defense could have pursued over to get to Neil Hughes, because it looked like they had a play set up there.
So Jamie Borum, first punt of the night, and the first time to punt into the wind. with Marcus Howell back for Calgary. And working against the wind, they'll run that clock right down, snapping it at 2. Line drive by Moore, pretty good punt. And cut down Marcus Howell. Tad Cornegay downfield to lead the cover team with a sure tackle. For every sack in tonight's game, Purolator donates the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Purolator, where business is going.
Saskatchewan adds 2 to that total.
Stevie Baggs, Maurice Lloyd have registered sacks tonight.
And Stevie Baggs also has a forced fumble that resulted in a defensive touchdown for Saskatchewan.
Stampeders have yet to sack Saskatchewan quarterbacks this year in over 2.5 games. Gordon again on the blitz. And Jermaine Copeland has a catch. Henry Burris on target for a 12-yard pickup and a first down. And Rambo and Copeland, the favorite targets tonight.
Henry Burris going into that hurry-up. Well, it looked like he was going to start to, and I think he'll huddle up after all of that. Again, another blitz from Scott Gordon, picked up by Joffrey Reynolds. Calgary Stampeders trying to block that to give Burris enough time to try and make Saskatchewan pay if they're going to send the safety.
First and 10 at the 40. And that one delivered. What a catch. It wasn't delivered high. It was Nick Lewis bringing it down. Great catch.
You know, and he had to expose his ribs for that catch. And for any receiver, that's always tough. And it takes courage to do that. But for Nick Lewis, it's about tenfold, because his ribs are sore. I know everyone's sore at this time of year, but Nick Lewis, there's some that think that Nick Lewis probably shouldn't be playing. He's that banged up.
That's a spectacular 3-yard pickup, as you'll see. 2nd and 7. Here comes the push, but Ralph couldn't hold it, nor could the safety. Scott Gordon through the hands of an offensive player and the safety as well.
Lots of different looks. Henry Burr is trying to attack the middle, but they left Scott Gordon back in the middle. Right through the hands of Brett Ralph. Should have had that catch, and Nick Lewis. Let's just take one more look. You're right. One of the best 3-yard gains you're going to see.
So Burke Dale's on the punt. Hurd is back and got a penalty flag. Time count violation. That's the first penalty against Calgary tonight.
Calgary, number 16. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
You know, it gets that time of year. The BC Lions last week had 1 penalty in the entire game. It gets that time of year where the penalties become more critical. Teams become more focused. They're thinking about that playoff run and trying to wrap up where they're going to finish, try and get home field when it comes to these two teams.
And probably not a coincidence, 2 of the best teams in the league are ones we're talking about not taking penalties. Hurd dropped it. Now tries to get outside. Costly drop. He's going to get tossed down back inside the 15-yard line.
Well, every Friday night we say hello to the Canadian Armed Forces, and tonight the Canadian Forces mission in Haiti has just ended. The HMCS St. John and Sea King helicopter. There's the helicopter there, as you can see, and there's the HMCS St. John. Provided humanitarian aid, 450 metric tons of food and water in collaboration with the Canadian Embassy and the World Food Program. That was in Haiti. The great news is that all 240 officers and sailors returned home safely, and we also understand that they are watching tonight, so we want to say a huge hello to them.
Absolutely. Deepest start for Saskatchewan tonight. Just over 4 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Michael Bishop will look at 2nd and 10 into the wind, and then they'll flip the field and have that wind advantage in the fourth quarter, right now leading by 3.
Yeah, and this is normal because, you know, when offenses get out to a good start and they get the jump on the defenses make adjustments at halftime. We're seeing those adjustments pay off now for both teams in this third quarter.
Quick hitter. They look into Duran Walker, broke a tackle, and then gets tossed down short of the first down stick. And the Stampeders rally to the football in a hurry. 7-yard gain, and it'll be third down, and Borum has to come right back out.
Important 4 minutes here for the Calgary Stampeders. Again, their open field tackle, that was Brandon Brown who started things out for the Calgary Stampeders, but it's an important 3:55. As you mentioned, they have the wind at their back.
First 2 and out of the night for Saskatchewan. And again, they'll run this clock down. Still 10 seconds left on the clock. It'll be good field position. That ball bouncing around, and Marcus Howell picks it up, gets the no yards flags. Inside the 45-yard line. 5-yard penalty will be upcoming. And that big defensive line gets set to come back onto the field. And we want to send out our best wishes to the defensive line coach, Ron Este, the Swamp Dog, who is battling cancer and is watching this game from hospital.
8 seasons in Saskatchewan as a coach, of course. Ron Este, 73 to 82, played on the D-line in Edmonton, 6 Grey Cups there. 8 years he's been instrumental with his defensive line. So yeah, we're thinking of you, Coach Este, and hoping for a speedy recovery here.
What a terrific coaching staff this is in Saskatchewan. Veteran group, 67 years of experience on the sidelines in the CFL. First time Calgary has started on the Saskatchewan side of half. And Burris, quarterback draw, flag down, and Henry hits the deck at the 44. And other than the time count, this is the first penalty against the Stampeders on the night.
Kiwana Jones is really starting to make an impact on this defensive line this game tonight. He has in his third quarter.
Calgary number 60. 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat. First down.
Penalty on Derek Armstrong.
Take a look at Kiwana Jones, number 46. He's only 232 pounds. Comes off the edge. Little grab there, little throw down. Jesse Newman had grabbed him on both sides of his shoulder pads, threw him to the ground. I think that was the number on the holder, not 60.
So it's first and 20 back at the Calgary 50. And there's Demetrius Summers. Good tackle made along the sidelines there. Renal Williams.
You know, Kiwana Jones is a great story because he has become such an impact player on this defense. He flies around. He only knows one speed, and defensive coaches love those guys, the guys with the motors that never stop. But he made his way onto the defense for the first time this year on the special teams.
Undersized, but as fast a defensive lineman as there is. Second and 14 now. A pump. First look downfield, runs out of time. Fumbles, and Calgary gets back on it. But Saskatchewan gets to the quarterback. The D-line rallied. Kiwana Jones and Mike McCullough off the edge.
Yeah, that's the versatility in that defense, but it starts with Kiwana Jones here. He gets held up pretty good by Jesse Newman, but he keeps fighting. Then he uses his speed to get around. That's the motor I'm talking about with Kiwana Jones. It never stops. He never shuts it down. It looked like Jesse Newman had him blocked. He had him blocked for a second. He couldn't keep him blocked.
Fans fired up. They give the defense a standing O for their stand there. After the Stamps had started in Saskatchewan territory, get pushed back, and Birkdale's just got it away. James Johnson fields it at the 13. And Johnson breaks one tackle and up to the 20, where he is finally brought down. A 47-yard Dales punt. 90 seconds left, first half, or third quarter.
Michael Bishop is looking for maybe 2 first downs here minimum on this drive to try and get out of this quarter. And if he has to punt the ball, he can turn around and punt it with the wind at his back.
We've seen plenty of points scored against the wind tonight, but it certainly should be advantage Saskatchewan if they can switch ends and still have the lead in the wind in the fourth quarter. High shotgun snap. That one gunned into the dirt, short of the intended target, Chris Getzlaf.
See how 2 Calgary defenders were now widening so quickly to Michael Bishop? That's the adjustment that they've made in this half. Because Bishop, with his play action, he's got outside the edge so many times. He's got outside here. Watch how quickly these defenders jump out to try and stop him. I mean, I know this play doesn't, nothing, see how quickly, look at that. They're trying to contain him now.
2nd and 10. 1-2 and out tonight. And that one up for grabs and falls incomplete, nearly intercepted.
But it still works for the Calgary defense. They get the stop, and now Saskatchewan, with 56 seconds left, will have to kick the football into the wind. It looked like Michael Bishop there wanted Weston Dressler to go straight down the post and take it deeper than he did. But now you see that the defense for Calgary is starting to pull up Michael Bishop. In other words, make him stay in the pocket, not get outside where he was so successful in that first half.
Dwayne Carpenter thinking about the one that got away. 3 straight punts now for the Roughriders in this third quarter.
Those 2 guys are onside and can recover the football for Saskatchewan up there. Anyone that's behind the kicker can go down and recover it.
Patrick and Cornegay, and perhaps a win play here. Little pooch kick. It's up for grabs, but Powell's got it. And flag for no yards that will be picked up because Tad Cornegay and Patrick down in that area were the men onside.
Boy, that's what they tried to do. They tried to put those guys onside, and then rather than try and punt it in the wind, see if they could just pooch it over there and have those 2 guys come down and recover it. This is a designed play to try and catch Calgary with 2 deep defenders. You see Borum just angle it over to the sideline. He wasn't trying to kick that deep. He was trying to kick it to Patrick.
Number 14, Saskatchewan, was onside at the time of the kick. Therefore, first down Calgary.
Good percentage try by Ken Miller, because you were going to be giving up great field position to Calgary anyway. Might as well try and get your hands on the ball. Stampeders, though, are already in field goal range and have a first down at the 33. Summers in the game, right side, and a run down to the 26-yard line. Stevie Baggs with another tackle.
With the way Kitwana, Jones, and that defensive line for the Saskatchewan Roughriders have been providing pressure in the third quarter, George Cortez goes back to the running game, whether it be Demetrius Summers, Joffrey Reynolds, or even John Cornish. He wants to keep that defensive line guessing, and that's why he'll throw in those runs, even though he has the wind at his back for a few more seconds.
I wonder if there's something up with Joffrey Reynolds. 4 carries, 16 yards, not in the game. Cornish is, so is Summers. And there's Burris with a pump and had to pull it down. And he will be close to the first down on the final play of this third quarter. So they'll switch ends. Riders by 3. Third quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
The defenses in the third quarter have stepped it up. The Calgary Stampeders had 233 of those yards in the first half. Saskatchewan 247. So Calgary with just over 50 in the third quarter, and Saskatchewan just with 24 yards.
Roughriders have the wind in the fourth quarter. I'm looking at that time of possession, though. 10 minutes more for Calgary. Is that defense getting worn down for Saskatchewan?
You know, they haven't shown it in the third quarter, but you don't really see it until the second half of the fourth quarter. But with the wind at their back now, you'll probably see a lot more from Saskatchewan, that ball control type of offense, and try and just keep racking up field goals with the wind at their back.
It is a precarious lead for the Roughriders, but they are 5-0 when leading after 3 quarters. Stampeders 0-5 when trailing after 3 quarters. Third and less than a yard, and Burris with the surge. And should have it.
Should have it up for a first down.
As they unpiled just outside the 20 of Saskatchewan. Stampeder first down at the Roughrider 22. Here comes the pressure. Ball up for grabs. Incomplete. Intended for Summers.
Demetrius Summers came out of the backfield, and he was open on the flat route, but unfortunately for Calgary Stampeder fans, that wasn't the call. The call was for him to turn it up the sideline. That allowed Omar Morgan a chance to track him down and catch him.
So again, this series without Joffrey Reynolds. Now he's in. Reynolds has checked back in. 4 carries, 16 yards. Quiet night so far. Of course, he does a lot of damage in the fourth quarter. And a ramble, the hit screen, jolted. What a defensive play that is by the veteran, the ringleader back there, Eddie Davis. Former Stampeder with the stop for Saskatchewan.
Long talk with Eddie Davis before the game, and Eddie Davis in his 14th season, 8 with Saskatchewan. This year, after 13 games, does not have an interception. And I asked him, I said, this can't be happening. I mean, you're playing too well. And he said, you know what, I'm not worried about it, because he is doing his assignment, makes a big play there.
None for that side, nor for Omar Morgan. So the short side doesn't come up with one on that Saskatchewan defensive secondary. DeAngelis for the tie. And D-automatic again. Locked at 27 early fourth quarter. CFL on TSN, brought to you in part by CFL All-Star Voting. On now, go to futureshop.ca/all-star and vote for your favorite players today. See some All-Stars on either side of this one. What a night in Regina we've had. Heading down the home stretch here. Tied. Calgary trying to take a stranglehold of first in the West. Saskatchewan trying to create a 3-way tie for first in the West. And Dressler up to the 33.
And Saskatchewan trying to get out of this 3-game losing streak as well. They first 2 games with Michael Bishop at the controls were wins, both against Winnipeg for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and then been in a little bit of a tailspin here. 2 games against a very good BC Lion football team, and then last week versus Montreal, 37-12 there. That's the importance of this game. They get right back in the fight for first in the West.
So Ken Miller's offense, 1 first down, 3 possessions, 3 punts, second half. Give to Charles, the newcomer's got a big run into the secondary before he's pushed out of bounds by Brandon Smith.
If you're a rookie football player like Hugh Charles or Chris Getzlaff getting a chance to play, you want to be in the Saskatchewan Roughriders organization somewhere. You mentioned it earlier, Chris, 19 different players catching passes for this football team with all the injuries, but there's no real upside to injuries except for the fact that you get young players a chance to get real reps.
13 for Charles, just added recently. They'll give him the ball again, left side, and forced out around the 49 again, Brandon Smith, as they try to reestablish the ground game that I think they forgot about in the third quarter.
Well, they get the ground game going, but they have the wind at their back now, so what they want to do is ball control. Want to move that football down. They can kick long field goals. They know they play on, basically, because of that, they play on a shorter field than Calgary does, essentially, because now they're looking at the 50-yard line for field goal range or in around there, whereas Calgary has to get it down sort of inside the 30.
2nd and 6. Bishop long out, almost picked the bag, comes up with it. Dwight Anderson got his hands on the football. He thought he had 6. Number 6 ends up with the ball.
Well, when it's going well for the quarterback and you get in that zone, and it has been for Michael Bishop, certainly in the first half for Michael Bishop, and when you get things going, sometimes it's just working for you, because Dwight Anderson should be doing his touchdown dance if he has one right now.
Everybody at Calgary has a touchdown dance. 52 of Calgary, little pump and go, looking deep downfield, and there's a pass interference call. Durant Walker battling with Brandon Browner, and the flags come out.
You know, we've seen Brandon Browner many times in one-on-one matchups like this down the field, because he plays that bump and run coverage. He gets on Walker here, but the reason he panics down here is because Walker has inside position. If Browner's inside, he can just run with them, and he knows that he's got better position than Walker.
Major foul, face mask, Saskatchewan 52, pass interference, Calgary 27, offsetting penalties, net 5 yards, and we repeat, first down.
Costly penalty to Wayne Smith.
52 Wayne Smith is right there. Let's take a look at, does he get his hands up in the face mask? Yes, he does.
So it's 1st and 15. Back at the 52. Bishop rolls and looks to the sideline, and that one out of the reach of Rob Bagg. And it will be 2nd and 15.
Again, Calgary now taking good angles defensively. Charleston Hughes there took a different angle than he did in the first half. In the first half, Hughes was coming up the field. There he is there. In the first half, he was doing this. Now he's doing this. And the difference being that he's going to the spot where he knows that Bishop will end up, not to where he wants to go back. And he gets that hit and he rushes the throw a little bit. So Chris Jones has adjusted the angles, the defensive coordinator, so that those defensive linemen will go to where Bishop ends up.
6 receivers out, and play stopped. Not a time count violation.
Legal procedure. Saskatchewan, number 52, 5-yard penalty, remains
Tough
second down.
series for Wayne Smith. The right tackle. And now it's 2nd and 20. Back at the 48. Hitter Dressler. And Weston Dressler down to the 45. May have got him in the field goal range.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did, and it was the second effort that got him down in there. Because when it looked like he was going to make first contact or take first contact was right around the 50-yard line, which would have made it a 57, 60-yard field goal attempt. There's Dressler there, and he fought for some extra yards, another 5 or 6. Like, I thought he was going to get caught there. He gets another 5 or 6 right there. Now he is in field goal range.
Juwan Harmer finally the stop, but Dressler gets the job done. Gets Kanji on the field. Yet another 100-yard receiving game for Dressler.
Active.
And Luka Kanji trying his longest of the year from 52 out. And he missed it. And Marcus Howell to bring it out. And Marcus Howell jolted out at the 17. And we stay tied. 10.5 minutes to go. 4.5 minutes into the fourth quarter. Let's join Sarah Orleski.
4 out of the last 5 seasons, Jermaine Copeland has caught for over 1,000 yards. Well, it's been a quiet season so far for him this year. He's third among Calgary receivers. Henry Burris told me, though, that they are looking to get him more involved. That's something that they've been talking about for several weeks now. They said that Henry Burris said that he is key. Copeland is key. He gets the entire team fired up, and if they are going to go to the promised land, he has to be a part of it. Tonight, he has 7 catches for 72 yards, only the second time this season that he has caught for more than 4 catches in one game.
That's right, Sarah, still looking for his first 100-yard game of the year. More pressure on Henry Burris from Maurice Lloyd, the middle linebacker, who has the sack tonight. Deepest start for Calgary tonight, and they're against the wind, and a big 2nd and 10 coming up.
And that is a time when the quarterbacks often look to their inside receivers, and Copeland is one of them.
Burris gets up, look out, it's hit! James Johnson knocked out of his hand, loose in the end zone, and out off the Thelwell punch out, but James Johnson has his 3rd interception of the season. And now the conference.
He got his hands on the ball on a curl route in the first quarter and dropped it. He had a chance at an interception in the 3rd quarter and just over his head, and this time he reads it perfectly. Lines up at about 14 yards, but all his momentum takes him downhill. He's seen that hitch route a couple of times. Selwell will punch it out, but I think it goes out of bounds, so they'll get it where he punched it. The Saskatchewan Roughriders will get it first down there.
It is ball out on the punch out. It becomes Saskatchewan football at the point where it was punched out.
Yeah, you don't get possession on the punch.
Weston Dressler, the Helton Tiger Cats found that out on the Weston Dressler play early in the season.
You have to touch it again before it goes out of bounds to get possession, so Saskatchewan will get it where that punch occurred.
2nd turnover of the second half. And Michael Bishop trying to make them pay. There's a completion. And Getzlaff brought down by Shannon James.
So let's see that interception again. And Thelwell will punch it out.
Thelwell looking like Brandon Browner there.
Well, he got possessions. First of all, James Johnson had full possession, so that was one thing, because he was running. He'd take 3 or 4 steps back towards the end zone there. There's the punch out. Now, no one touches that football, and it goes out of bounds in the end zone, so it goes back to where it was punched right there.
2nd and 5. Bishop into the end zone and flagged down as Getzlaff got grabbed in the end zone. So Chris Getzlaff has made an impact. A touchdown already. Draws a flag in the end zone.
Pass interference. Calgary number 19.
Calvin Madison.
In the goal area becomes first down on the 1.
Think of the potential for Saskatchewan. You talk about Chris Getzlaff, if he's the guy that they can lean on, and then you've got Weston Dressler, who's really stepped up. They're going to get DJ Flick back very soon. Andy Fantus is starting to run in practice.
And as we were told, Darian Durant coming into short yardage situations. See if they can punch it in. Durant will trouble that handoff, and now to the goal line. One official saying no. And the official on this side, Rob Hill, had a look and wondered if Durant might have backed in.
This has been a problem for Saskatchewan. The goal line and some mistakes made down there that have cost them a chance for majors. A high snap. That was week 13. They went the shotgun, a play that was questioned in the media a bunch that week. Couldn't get in a couple times in Montreal, so the goal line has been a bit of an issue for Saskatchewan.
There's going to be a challenge here. The fans saw the scoreboard, so did the Saskatchewan coaches. They felt that Durant broke the plane, and as he backed in, I wondered that too. Whether or not he was down or not is, of course, another issue.
Yeah, and the officials could say that his forward progress had stopped, but you see the little fumble there, the little juggle of the football It's hard to see the ball. You have to see the ball, not necessarily where his body crosses the line. Because if his body crosses but the ball still hasn't broken the plane, he's still not in yet. Now that looks like he may have crossed the line, but was he down first?
See, the official block is the man who made the call when I thought that the line judge, Rob Hill, might have had a different look at it, but then play had been ruled stopped and Durant not in.
First thing that Darian Durant has to do is take a clean snap from center so that it's a much crisper play if they have to do it again.
Seems like every week you get a chance to do your Al Pacino impersonation.
The inches we need are everywhere around us. But those are tough inches down on the goal line, that's for sure. They always are. We saw it.
He's sitting on the goal line. Ball on his hip. But did the ball ever break the plane?
How about Juwan Armour for Calgary, who timed it up and just sacrificed himself going up over the pile. You'll see, watch number 2. Look at that. That's what the linebacker committing. He goes up over the pile and he starts to fight his way back towards Darian Durant. Makes first contact there. It is a roll up your sleeves slugfest on the goal line. We saw in the Calgary Stampeders when they were on the goal line in the first half, they faked it to Joffrey Reynolds and went outside around the edge. The only downside with trying that, if you don't fool the contained man on the defense and your quarterback, now you've given up 4 or 5 yards. You've taken the ball off the 1-yard line to do that bootleg and get outside. You really have to fool the defense to do it, to pull it off.
One thing I wonder with putting Durant in for short yardage is you sacrifice a little size. Bishop, the bigger and a little bit stronger, you would think, at 6'2" and 220 pounds.
Upon review, the ruling on the field is correct. It is Saskatchewan, second down on the 1.
Well, they're ruling it looked like that maybe Darian Durant was down before that ball crossed the plane. Nevertheless, he's got another chance at it right here. Now, what will Ken Miller do? Is he going to try and just win that push and pull contest, or is he going to try and fool the defense and get to the outside?
Zarka and Hughes line up in the eye. Behind Darian Durant, second and goal from the 1.
How about a pass?
And they will pass. No one home. Nobody there. Durant to run. He's brought down at the 1 and fumbles into the end zone.
Well, and who touched it before it went out of bounds in the end zone? Because when it's punched like it was to get Saskatchewan down there, you have to touch it again to gain possession of the ball. But I thought the ball was touched before it went out. Now, who touched it? Darian Durant goes with a play-action pass. No one is open downfield, so the Calgary Stampeders weren't fooled. Ball fumbled. Or was Darian Durant down by contact before he fumbled the ball?
Third and goal from the 1. Will they get it? Hughes, touchdown! Time's a charm. Roughriders regain the lead. And Neil Hughes has his second touchdown of the game.
I'm going to have to do my math on challenge flags from Calgary in this game so far. Because Saskatchewan gets that third play called before any challenge flag out, and Neil Hughes finally breaks the plane.
10th lead change. Midway through this 4th quarter. Extra point is good. Roughriders by 7. Wendy's CFL on TSN. Friday Night Football. Brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
When and how you're going to use your challenge is an important strategy now in the Canadian Football League. John Huffnagel has one challenge left and didn't use it on that second down play.
And he may have needed it in more than one reason. Demetrius Summers on the return back to the 25-yard line. Let's take a look at it because there's a couple of reasons to watch this replay.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, first of all, Darian Durant doesn't have an open receiver. The question was he down before he fumbled the ball? Because it was a Stampeder who touches it as it goes out of bounds. And you have to make a kicking motion if it hits your leg. That's not a kicking motion. That just goes off the leg of the Stampeder. It would have been Stampeder ball if he challenged. But was he down by contact? If you're saying he's down by contact there, which he may be, the official on a challenge would have marked the ball on the 2-yard line, not the 1-yard line.
All academic now. Joffrey Reynolds to work left side. And a good run. Sean Lucas brings him down. Reynolds has had a very quiet night, but a 9-yard gain there. Longest of the night.
Let's go, Mom.
Well, Saskatchewan Roughriders quickly moving in and making a quick decision on third down to not give John Huffnagel too long to contemplate a challenge there. He still has one. They go to Neil Hughes. They get their touchdown, and they get it in.
2nd and 1 at the 34. Now push ahead for the yard they need to get the sticks moving.
I guess what I'm saying, Chris, I don't mean to interrupt, but I guess what I'm saying is that John Huffnagel may have lost that challenge had he challenged. He may have lost it because it looked like Darian Durant was down by contact.
I agree, but
if the officials went in to challenge it, they would have seen his knee touch around the 2.5-3-yard line, and they may have remarked that football based on the challenge alone. You see his knee touch back at the 3, and then he fell forward. They got it on the 1.
First down Stamps. Henry can't find anybody. And they found Henry as Burris throws it away. It's a pretty good pressure on the Calgary quarterback in the second half.
It really has been the difference maker for Saskatchewan. The crowd is back into it, but so is their defense. The first half, both these offenses were rolling. In the second half, adjustments were made, especially for Saskatchewan. Kitwana Jones really turned up the intensity dial in the second half of play for Saskatchewan.
53 yards of offense in the second half for the Stamps. 2nd and 10. Burris time, guns downfield. Rambo can't bring it in. Thought there might have been a flag. Omar Morgan with sticky coverage on the best Calgary receiver tonight.
Kenyon Rambo looked like he couldn't get his other hand up to the football. He's only going to put one hand up, and that's why he wanted a penalty. He thought that Omar Morgan was holding his other arm down, and I think he has an argument. Omar Morgan is fighting for the football. And he has his right arm locked around the arm of Kenyon Rambo as he goes, and now he only has one hand to try and bring that in. Didn't get the call.
Burke Dales loads it up. High into the wind. And there's no yards. And Crowder nails Hurd. And that'll be a 15-yard penalty. And the fans over there have been calling for that more than once tonight.
And that one is even borderline for Brandon Browner. And the reason I say that is because Brandon Browner, not only he was well inside the 5-yard zone, but did he deliver a helmet-to-helmet hit.
15-yard penalty, first down.
I'm only going to give him 15. But it looked like he tried to explode on this hit as well. And if that's helmet-to-helmet after inside of 5 yards, that could push another penalty.
That's a big 15 yards of field position against Calgary now. Saskatchewan will start at their 53. Clock has ticked down to 5 minutes left here in the fourth quarter. Neil Hughes straight ahead down to the 53 of Calgary. Our game story tonight brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
Neil Hughes, a couple touchdown runs, and they'll need him to try and kill this 4:37 if Saskatchewan wants to hang on here. Kitwana Jones really stepped it up in the second half, and you can see a couple of turnovers for the Stampeders. So Rider defense made adjustments at halftime.
14 points off turnovers for Saskatchewan tonight. Calgary, in their 4-game win streak, had allowed 13 points off turnovers in their 4 straight wins. There's a first down conversion and a catch for Dressler. Weston Dressler with 4 100-yard games in his last 5 starts.
And the other story tonight has been the play of Michael Bishop, who, the last bit of a little bit of a roller coaster ride for Bishop over the last couple of weeks. He's put together a solid game and a tremendous first half.
First down at the Stamp 45. And Getzlaf has that one skipped up to him, incomplete. And Bishop said, "That's me."
You know, and that was the first time when he threw on the run all night long that he looked like he took his foot off the gas pedal a little bit. He came outside there, kind of relaxed a little bit, had so much time that he just underthrew the target. Getzlaf pointed right to himself immediately, saying, "Yeah, that's my fault."
Funny, at 214 last week, 364 yards, and here we are talking about how much better he's been tonight, and he has. Long out, Dressler there, first down, skips out at the 30.
But last week, Chris, 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and it was those mistakes by Michael Bishop, those bad decisions by Michael Bishop last week that really was the difference in that game in some ways, and that's why there was so much question again this week with Bishop. But he's eliminated that mistake tonight, even though his yardage totals aren't as good as last week.
But critical second down conversions like this one.
And now you're right in field goal range if you're Saskatchewan. You can be conservative with the football here.
Time to start handing it off, no? Neil Hughes changed direction and gets a couple as we get set for the 3-minute warning here at Mosaic. Roughriders with the lead, trying to put the cap on this one. TSN, the home of the NFL. Sunday Night Football continues this week as the Steelers take on the Jags. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Monday night, the Vikings and the Saints, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Both games on TSN HD. And of course, tonight, we're in the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders with 2:40 on the clock. Clock running, 2nd and 8. And they're going to take it right down before they snap the football here, using as much time as possible before giving it to Neil Hughes. Dropped at the 26, and Kanji has a 33-yard field goal attempt upcoming to make it a 2-score game.
You know, I was about to say the Calgary Stampeders have to start trying to tackle the football, create a turnover, and you've got to believe on this special teams, on this field goal attempt, they're going to try and come off the edge and see if they can get a block. In fact, John Huffnagel looks like he'd like to call a timeout. Greg Dickinson, the special teams coordinator, will get a chance to talk to his special teams captain on the field right now and see if they can get something set up for maybe block a kick here.
How important was winning the toss tonight? Win in the 4th quarter for Saskatchewan. The last 2 Rough Rider drives were their best starts of the night. And the Stamps had their 2 worst starts of the night at the 17 at the 25. So field position a game and a win game, and it turned out to be advantageous for Saskatchewan here in the 4th quarter.
Well, and that James Johnson interception for Saskatchewan really flipped the field position in a hurry.
And Kanji can get the Rough Riders that much closer to a 3-way tie for first in the West. call it 34 yards out. And Kanji's got that one. 37-27.
Okay, it is a two-score game now for the Calgary Stampeders, but there is still time.
A 4-game win streak for John Hufnagel on the line here.
For Calgary, though, you mentioned it, the stats with the field position starts in the second half. Calgary have to go into this stiff wind and have to score twice.
Burris gets it away, and there's Rambo trying to twist away, and he'll have close to 9 yards. And yet another catch, a double-figure night for Kenyon Rambo, as he makes catch number 12.
I've seen comebacks in the CFL where teams have scored 3 majors inside of 2 minutes.
And those short kicks with the wind are always interesting. There's a crosser, and Nick Lewis has another catch. And out of bounds to stop the clock at the 45 of Saskatchewan.
That was a good decision by Nick Lewis at the end of that play. First of all, Burris leads it out in front of him, so he doesn't have to fight back to take a hit and can get a little extra yards. But that decision at the end of it here for Nick Lewis, he could have maybe picked up another yard or 2, but the seconds he took off the clock by getting himself out of bounds quickly are more important right now.
All right, 1:56 left. Trying to at least get into field goal range in a hurry. Here comes the pressure. They get to Burris. He gets away. Lamar Williams now. And Burris finally hits the deck. He got back to the line of scrimmage in a couple.
This is the longer field I'm talking about for Calgary now, because if they had the win, they could be in field goal position right now. And you're right, they need the field goal and the major, so they could take the field goal on this drive and then try a short kick. But they're going to need another 15, 20 yards to get in field goal range into this win.
Second and 8. They dump it off. Reynolds. And Reynolds is dropped at the 38-yard line short of the first down.
Perfect gang tackling. Perfect two-man tackling from James Johnson and Maurice Lloyd. One guy from the outside in, one guy from the inside out. They sandwich Joffrey Reynolds, and they don't allow him to pick up the first down.
Oh, Lloyd's had a big night. 3rd and 3. Stamps offense stays on.
Into the win, this is too far for a field goal attempt here.
Ball game on the line. But header complete. Copeland's got the first down. At the 32, Stamps still have life. And a fresh set of downs with 85 seconds to go.
Jermaine Copeland reaches out to go and get that football with his hands rather than waiting and letting it come to his body. If he waits, he probably doesn't catch that ball.
Stamps have used their timeout. Burris a pump. Wide open. Wide open is Noel in the corner. Touchdown. Busted coverage, and Ryan Thelwell gets the Stampeders perhaps within a field goal again.
So Henry Burris throws an interception to James Johnson on a play where he has Ryan Thelwell on the sideline, and this time you have to say Burris wins the battle because he fakes it to Thelwell on the sideline and then gets in behind James Johnson.
Ryan Thelwell's 3rd touchdown of the season. DeAngelis the extra point, and why would we expect anything different tonight?
yeah.
This has been some kind of game.
Now, being into the win for the Calgary Stampeders can benefit them here on an onside kick attempt. because Sandro Giangelis, let's take a look at that touchdown as I'm explaining this. Thelwell's the wide receiver on the wide side. Remember how James Johnson jumped that inside throw? This time he jumps it in and gets beat. Thelwell sneaks down the sideline behind him. Now, if they kick it into the wind on the onside, Sandro Giangelis can put some more air on the ball, and kicking it into the wind now will hang that ball up in the air longer and allow his guys to get down underneath it. So now what has to happen here for Saskatchewan, they've got to take out the front line of cover people for the Calgary Stampeders as Alex Smith and Craig Dickinson go head-to-head here on the little strategy on the onside kick.
It was an animated Alex Smith trying to get his special teams guys who are on convert duty back into that huddle to make sure they heard all of these instructions.
The other thing, Chris, that Calgary can try and do is try and pooch kick it rather than go straight onside, which is just about the 11 or 12 yards down the field kind of kick from Sandro Giangelis. They could go maybe 20, 25. With kicking into the wind, it'll hang up longer, and that gives your cover team a chance to get there.
It's the only danger at the wind is you got to make sure it does go 10. Here we go. DeAngelis will put it up for grabs. Skies it. Who's got it? Calgary selling it. And the officials ruling that it went out without being touched.
Brandon Browner was right on that sideline. John Huffnagel thinks he touched it. And was
Browner in?
Kick off out of bounds. Calgary, Saskatchewan, first down.
Not touched.
So it wasn't touched, or it was touched by Brandon Browner, who was out of bounds when he left his feet to go and tip it. Brandon Browner looks inbounds when he jumps. There he is right there. Up in the air, does he touch the football?
And does he come down inbounds? Jaron Walker got up there for Saskatchewan as well. And even if he touched it, they're both out of bounds.
But he left his feet inbounds, touches the ball, and the replay official's going to take a look upstairs. Inside of 3 minutes, John Huffnagel now cannot challenge it. It's got to go from the official upstairs. When he leaves his feet, he is inbounds. Both players come and land out of bounds, but they have touched it, leaving their feet inbounds. Now it's a matter of whether or not Brandon Browner touches that ball. Or is it touched by Jaron Walker? And it looked like Walker pushed him out of bounds as well. So this will be interesting.
But I agree with you. When he jumped, he was in bounds. But when he makes contact with the ball, does he not have to come down and have 1 foot in? Because he's well out when he makes the touch. And is that what the officials may rule?
With Jaron Walker pushing him as well. A receiver catching the ball on the sideline. If he's pushed out of bounds and would have come back in bounds, it would be considered a catch.
The kickoff was not touched in the field of play. It was kicked out of bounds, touched by a Calgary player. It is Saskatchewan first down on the 49-yard line.
Because if you touch a ball that's 3 or 4 feet out of bounds, even though your jump started from the field of play, I don't think that's in bounds. And that's the way the officials see it.
Well, it's
under the hood.
Basically, it's the same as a catch.
You have to come down with a foot in.
But was he pushed out of bounds? Would he have come down on his own is the question.
Got to go under the hood for that one again. Big run here. That's Hugh Charles. As the finishing touches are going to be put on this one.
because that rule would have to be the same. If you leave your feet in bounds and you touch it out of bounds, you have to come back in bounds. But if you're pushed and would have come back in bounds without the push, that's the discretion of the officials. And I'm not sure they looked at that.
13-yard run by Charles. He gets the ball back again, and Saskatchewan just wants to keep the clock running and keep their hands securely on the football. And a late flag comes out. And another.
Number 2, 10-yard penalty. It's first down.
Juwan Armour, I believe, the number called. Marching it down to the 23. And this will have everybody waiting for a Thanksgiving feast on Monday. Thanksgiving Monday, they'll go right back at it.
Taking a knee. He's taking a knee, fellas. Taking a knee.
BC Lions won earlier, Chris. They improved to 9-5. Calgary in 39 seconds goes to 9-5.
And they let the clock run down. Been quite a performance by the Saskatchewan Roughriders to end a 3-game losing streak. They've lost 5 of 7 coming in, and looked like everything was going against them. But they are celebrating here at Mosaic Stadium tonight. 15th sellout of the year. They've expanded the seating in the stadium, and everybody relishing this as they get right back into the race for first and maybe home field for the West Final.
What a race it is.
They down it. This one is done. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders prevail 37-34. And Michael Bishop had quite a night. And he celebrates the 9th win of the year for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Time for the Friday Night Gladiator, brought to you by Castrol. More than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
It was all offense in the first half for both these teams, but then the defense has stepped up, but in particular, number 46 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I thought the second half by Kitwana Jones was absolutely outstanding, created all kinds of havoc for Henry Burris, who was on the run all game long, and to top it all off, he scored a touchdown on defense.
And as tonight's Gladiator, Kitwana receives the Movado Series 800 watch. What a night here in Saskatchewan. And now a 3-way tie for first. The Stamps, the BC Lions, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders all at 9-5. Time for the TSN turning point.
Now they had just changed to the fourth quarter when James Johnson stole field position and flipped the field with this interception. Ryan Thelwell knocked it out of there. He didn't score on it, but that was the big play.
TSN Turning Point brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. 10 lead changes in the game. One of the big plays, the Kitwana Jones fumble recovery for a touchdown. And the Roughriders' losing streak is over. And they end the Calgary Stampeders' 4-game win streak as we really get it tight down the stretch in the CFL West. That's the story from Regina. So long, SportsCenter is next.